Alright, this is the project. It's supposed to be a photo server like Google Photos or something. And it, the way it was supposed to work is that the client can send photos to the server, and the server will keep it in its files, keep those photos in its files, and also keep data like tags and the data was added to the server so that the client can get it back at a later time. Alright, here's the example. Just get the server and clients running. Let me just remove a file first. Alright, say I want to add these files, these two files into the server. You can just add photo and put the file names in there. And it does work concurrently. You can add tags to it. There we go, cat and concert. Oh, the concert was already in the server, but yeah. You can also remove files. This works concurrently too. Cat. And now those two are moved out of the server file. You can request photos. By file, let's do that first. Say, and it pops up right here. And this works with multiple files at once, so you can do by date. And it brings all the files from that day that you added it in. This also works concurrently, but it will overwrite some of the files because they're saved under the same name, so it will overwrite the previous files. So, and I'll just show off the sorting by tag. And it brings all the files. And also the clients can also disconnect. Just show that off real quick. Okay, that's the demonstration. This is the client file. First it takes in the host and port information from the command line, and then it starts connecting with the server. Then it'll ask what you want to do, and if you choose the name, choose the add photo, it'll do the send image, which will get the binary data from the file and the size of the binary file, and then it'll send that information to the server, and then it'll wait for a confirmation from the server to send the data, and once it does, it just sends it over. The next thing is the receiving images, and the client will ask you to give it whatever parameters you want it to search by, and you get it back, and by this it just calls receive over and over again, chunk by chunk, until it received as many bytes as the file was, it received as many bytes as how big the file was. Deleting image works is really simple. It just takes the delete's really simple. It just asks for the file you want to delete, and then it'll send it to the server to go and delete it. This is the server file. It works very similar to the C program. It just takes in the host and port values from the command line, binds it, and starts listening to clients. Once it finds a client, it'll put the socket into this variable sock, which is put into the client handler, which takes care of the input that comes from the client server. And so I'll just go through these one by one. Create new image. It does just what it says. It gets the data from the server. It gets the data from the client into the database, and once it's done with that, it will lock the other threads because it's about to make a change to the database. This is basically just saying if it's telling to search for a file name in the server, and if the name matches with the name given, do not put the file into the database because there's already an entry that has the same name. But otherwise, it will tell it to insert the data into this database and send the data into the server directory, server files. Otherwise, it tells the server to not send the data, and that the server already has a file by that name. Search by name, dates, and tags work very similarly. They just open the database and see if the file name, for this example, matches the name given, and it will return a list of strings of the directories of those files that match the parameters, and they all work the same. Those three do. Remove image is pretty simple. It just locks the threads because it's about to make a change to the database. It tries to delete the entry from the database, and then tries to delete the file from the directory. And if it doesn't, it'll tell the server that tells the client that it was already deleted or something. This is the send image. It just reads the binary file in and sends the length of it and the actual data of it right here. Receive images. It just tries to get all of the data in at first, and if the file's too big, it'll have to send it multiple times through the send function. So this just repeats multiple times, so to make sure that it gets all the binary data from the send. There's only really two big challenges to this project. The first one being that I initially chose Lua as the programming language, but it turns out that Lua doesn't really support multi-threaded servers. The Lua socket library, it wouldn't let me send the client socket to a thread, so I just couldn't do that. So I just switched to Python, and that seems to work. And the other really difficult thing was trying to understand how to use the TCP connection and threading. And the other hard part for me was threading. I didn't really know how to lock threads, but thankfully Python made it really simple, and I think I understand it a little bit better now because of it.